Hello, everybody, and welcome to June's edition of Lovely from the Library Presents, or Lovely's Digital Book Club Presents. This month's book is The Monsters We Defy by Leslye Penelope. Oops, sorry for hitting that microphone. So, this book is basically a caper, like a heist. It's set in Washington, D.C., during the heyday of what is known as Black Broadway. Black Broadway was a term that was coined by Pearl Bailey, yes, the Pearl Bailey, of a thriving community with all kind of shops and businesses and established people who had lived there and migrated during the Great Migration. So anyway, some of the awards that this book has won. Let's see, it won the NPR Book of the Year for 2022. It won the PACE Best Fiction or Best Fantasy Book for 2022. And in 2023, it won the Best Fantasy Audiobook Award it won an Audie, from Audie. I think that's how you say that. All right, so anyway, let's go on and talk about a little bit. Let's read the back of the book, or the blurb on the back of the book. Clara Johnson can talk to spirits, a gift that saved her during her darkest moments. Now a curse that's left her indebted to the cunning spirit world. So when a powerful spirit offers her an opportunity to gain her freedom, Clara seizes the chance, no questions asked. The task, still a magical ring from the wealthiest woman in the district. Clara can't accomplish this daring heist alone. To pull off the impossible, she'll need the help of an unlikely team. From a handsome jazz musician able to hypnotize with a melody, to an aging actor who can change his face, but as they race along DC's legendary Black Broadway, conflict in the spirit world begins to leak into the human one. An insidious mystery is unfolding, one that could cost Clara her life and change the fate of an entire city. Okay, so this book is also available as an audio book through the Libby app. So I highly recommend. I believe, who is the woman who reads the audiobook? She's one of my favorite audiobook narrators. What is her name? I cannot remember her name off the top of my head. She also reads a lot of Justina Ireland's book. It'll come to me. I cannot remember her name, but it'll come to me. Anywho, so let's go ahead and talk about the cast of characters. Hold on one second. Let me go down in here and see if I remember how to share my screen. Let's see. Hold on one second. Let me get to the right. We don't want to share that screen. We want to share this screen. Hold on. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. There we are. Okay, so here is our cast of characters. From left to right, we have Jessie Lee, Israel, Clara, who is our main protagonist, Zelda, and Aristotle. All right, so basically, this book is super. I really, really love this book. I have never read anything by Leslye Penelope before. I was just looking for a mystery, and this one was right up my alley. So as I said before, it's like it's a caper. It's a heist caper. Think Ocean's 11, but set in Washington, D.C. during the heyday of Black Broadway. Actually, don't think Ocean's 11. Don't do that. Just think what I said. A caper heist set in Black Broadway um, right after the Red Summer. And I'll get to what the Red Summer is in just a little bit. Anywho, so Clara Johnson, like I said earlier, can talk to spirits. She was born with a caul over her. And basically, that's when a baby is born in the embryonic sac. So they come out in that bubble with all the embryonic fluid. In a lot of cultures, babies who were born that way are considered to have spiritual gifts and spiritual powers. And not just in the African American community or the Black American community, but around the world. And Clara is no exception. Now, what Leslye Penelope has done, because this book has so many different elements, it has horror, it has history, romance, mystery, and magic. She puts a lot of African American folk magic like hoodoo and roots and conjure in here. That's a nod to people like Zora Neale Hurston and Alice Walker, who also did the same thing as well. But Clara Johnson was a real person. You will find that a lot of people in this book were real people, or the characters are based off of real people. So let's talk about Clara Johnson, the real Clara Johnson. Sometimes they call her Carrie because that was a nickname as well. So Clara Johnson was 17 years old when the Red Summer not only came to Washington, D.C., but came right into her home, right into her bedroom. The Red Summer was hang on, let me get my notes. The Red Summer was a summer of race riots that happened in 1919. White supremacist terrorism and racial riots happened in more than 36 cities across the United States. And actually, if you want to learn more about what the Red Summer was and what caused it and why it happened, you can learn more about it on Canopy, which is free for you if you have a library card with us. It's in the Great Courses, and it's in the America in the Gilded Age Great Courses. It's episode 24. Upheaval and the End of an Era. It's only 30 minutes, and it has like a supplementary information that's really big and thick with a whole bunch of books you can read about it. But anyway, yes, I know a lot of people know about the Tulsa race riot, and they also know about Greenwood, but there were so many more, so many more. And so what happened anyway, there was a race riot going on, and Clara and her father were minding their business in their home, trying to protect themselves. There were all these white townsfolk from other places coming to harm the Black folks. They were shooting people. They were killing. Hundreds and hundreds of people died during this summer, during the Red Summer. That's why they call it the Red Summer, because a lot of people died. Anywho, so some men who were a part of the mob stormed the Johnson home, and they went into Clara's room shooting. In the newspaper article, they said that there were like 20 bullets on the door of Clara's room. When they opened the door and came in, Clara and her father were hiding under the bed, and she shot one of the men and killed him. And he turned out to have been a police detective. And so because of that, she was thrown in jail. She spent about 18 months in jail. She was just a 17-year-old girl trying to protect herself. And so anyway, she was tried and convicted, and the judge would not let her plead self-defense. And so somehow she got another trial. The first judge died. Hang on, I have notes on him. Yeah. So since the first judge didn't allow her to plead self-defense, he died regretting it. So then there was a second judge. He knew this, and he allowed her to plead self-defense. And so the DA dropped the case because he knew he wasn't going to be able to convict her. Now, this is where Leslye Penelope got the idea, because she was like 19, and some other judge allowed her to plead self-defense, a Black girl. And she was like, there's only one way this could have happened, magic. Well, that's what she was thinking, because she really couldn't find any kind of news articles when she was doing her research. She couldn't find anything that would, say why he did this. So she thought, this will make a good story. Had to have been magic. So then she started doing all this research to find different people that she wanted to make of the different characters. So in the book, the magical spirits that Clara can talk to are called enigmas. And Clara, since she's had this gift since birth, when she was making a deal to get out of jail with one of these enigmas, they call it a trick. You get a charm, which is your gift, and then the trick is the other side or the negative part of it. And the trick is that she would have to bring other people to the spirits so that they could get a charm and a trick too. And this caused Clara great inner turmoil because she didn't want to do that to people. She knew that it was a mixed bag. It's like a Faustian deal. Yeah, it seems like you're getting a good deal, but you're not really. You're really getting entrapped. You're really getting basically enslaved to these spirits, and you have to keep doing what they want until you die or until you can get out of the deal. And so that's what happens with Clara, is she finds a way to get out of the deal. So there are different enigmas. Clara's enigma, the one that she made the deal with, is called the Empress. Of the ragtag crew that I showed you, let me go back, because now that I know how to do it, of this ragtag crew that I showed you, Jessie Lee, Israel, and Aristotle are the ones who all have deals with an enigma. And there's so many different enigmas on the other side. There's a man in the black hat who I think is Leslie's version of Elegba. Elegba is a deity at the crossroads. He makes deals with people. One of the more famous quote unquote deals would be Robert Johnson, the blues man. He's has said to went to the crossroad to make a deal with the devil. But Elegba's not the devil. Elegba is a trickster. Anywho, I won't go into all of that. But again, read some folktales. We have a whole bunch of folktale books at the library if you really want to know more who Elegba is and the crossroads and things like that. So there are several different types of enigmas that you can make deal with. Clara's specific enigma, the Empress, wants her to steal a specific ring. She said there's a war going on the enigma side and she needs Clara's help. And at the same time, there's this mysterious thing going on in her community. A lot of community members are missing, or they come up missing. And so one of the folks in Clara's community asked her to please help her find her son. There's somebody missing at Clara's job. There are several hairdressers missing, just a whole bunch of people just popping up missing. And because it is like, now it's going to be like 1925, 1924, because this story takes place several years after the Red Summer, because Clara has gotten out of jail and made her deal. But there's still not a lot of help for the Black community in Washington, D.C. If something bad happens, they have to help themselves. They have to figure it out themselves. So let's see. Let's talk a little bit about some of the themes in this book. So here we go. So some of the themes in this book are found family. Clara does not trust a lot of people after what happened to her. Part of the reason why she doesn't trust people is because, she just had a really, really bad experience getting shot. She did get shot when the police officers came into her house and everything. But also, there was a benevolent group called the Penelope group. They mentioned this in the book. That was raising money for Clara to pay for her legal fees and everything. They raised about $1,500. In our terms, that money would be like $22,000. They raised that money, but they never gave it to her. They never gave it to her, and so she, has to go out and get a job and pay off her legal fees and whatnot. And she got a job as a typist at Dr. Carter G. Woodson's publishing company, the Journal of Negro History. And I really love how she adds like real people. Like, you get to meet Carter G. Woodson. And for y'all who don't know, Carter G. Woodson wrote one of his more famous books is The Miseducation of the Negro. And also Langston Hughes appears in this book as well. Langston Hughes actually did, for a time, work as Carter G. Woodson's assistant. And in the book, Langston is lazy, child. Langston is so lazy. He just wants to write his poems and hang out with the literati of the time, the fancy rich Black people and go to their salons and read poetry and whatnot. He really does not want to work. So Clara gets irritated with him because he's lazy. I think that's so funny just to think of Langston Hughes as lazy. To be quite honest, though, what he had to do for Carter G. Woodson being his assistant, it was a lot of work. It was a ton of work. So I don't know if he was really lazy, but I think it's kind of funny to think of him as such. Also, Leslye Penelope took a little bit of liberties with Carter G. Woodson's character, and she kind of softened his rough edges because he was known as being a curmudgeon and not really getting along with people. But he was so committed to uplifting the race that a lot of people were just like, we're going to ignore the bad parts because he really is doing a good service to us. Carter G. Woodson is the reason why we actually have a Black History Month. Before it was Negro History Week, and in February, that Negro History, he wanted to put it in February. It's not a conspiracy that it's in February. Some people joke and say they put Black History Month in the shortest month of the year. But actually, Carter G. Woodson put it because he wanted to encompass Negro History Week, W.E.B. Du Bois' birthday, and Lincoln's birthday. So that's why it's in February. Anywho, what were we talking about? Oh, Langston Hughes being lazy and whatnot. So she's a typist there. And so she's getting all this information. And because she can talk to ghosts, sometimes they'll come and tell her things. Like a lot of the people that she's writing about, sometimes they're deceased or something like that. So they'll fill in little gaps. And she's always getting in trouble with Langston Hughes and a couple of other people telling her to just type what she sees and quit embellishing things. And they don't know that she can see ghosts, and that's why she's embellishing things. All right. So let's see what's next. So let's talk about some of the themes in this book. So one of the main themes that I really like is the theme of found family. And again, she has to trust these different people to help her. Now, I know, let's go back and look at the picture again, so I can talk a little bit about each person. So Jesse Lee is a World War I veteran, and he's also a musician that can play beautiful music that kind of hypnotizes people. Then his cousin Israel has a talent for charming people. He can whisper to them, and they'll do whatever he says. His trick is really sad. I don't want to ruin it for you in case you haven't had a chance to read the book. Clara is the white-haired lady. The middle person in the blue dress, that's Clara. Sorry, Zelda is the yellowish-haired lady. If you look really close, Zelda is not a white woman. She's a Black woman with albinism. If you look close, you can look at her features and see that they are more African features. She's got a fuller nose and fuller lips. And then toward the end there is Aristotle. He's an aging actor who can change his face to anything he wants it to be. Okay, so anyway, I pointed out Zelda because she has albinism. And oftentimes, people with albinism, white or Black, were acquired by circuses to be in their freak show or museums and whatnot. And there is a set of twins, a set of Black twins with albinism who were sold to Ringling Brothers. And so I think that's what they based that off of. Zelda is one of my favorite characters in the book because she does not have a charm or a trick, but because she grew up in the circus, she knows how to pick pockets. She's acrobatic. She knows how to fight. She knows karate, jujitsu, and she's not afraid. She's gathered all these different skills because she was raised in the circus and traveled around a lot. So anywho, that's the found family. And that's part of the reason, again, going back to why Clara doesn't trust people, is because she was done dirty. She was just defending herself and went to jail. Then people who claimed they were helping her took all her money for her legal defense. And so now she has to work as a typist trying to pay all the money off because they never gave her the money. These were elite, rich Black people. You'll also find colorism in this book and classism. That's some other themes. Some of the other main themes, though, are community. And what does a community mean? And what does it take to sustain it in the face of opposition? That's really one of the main themes of this book. Like I said, there are a lot of people coming up missing, and they have to figure out what's going on. Also, too, Let's see. Yes. So, when the woman comes to ask Claire for help with her son, she says, "Hey, I can't help you, but maybe you can go see Uncle Nazareth. He is a root doctor." And Clara doesn't believe in his abilities, which I find kind of odd because she talks to ghosts. So why would you believe that Uncle Nazareth, who's a root doctor, might have some powers too? Maybe, he's dealing with plants and herbs and things that can be tested and proven. And so I found that a little odd, but I do understand that why maybe she didn't necessarily believe in his powers. Anywho, they go on the caper, they get together, they establish a plan, and slowly but surely, Clara is learning to trust her newfound family and learning to lean on them a little bit more. Without giving too many spoilers away, the people who look like they are trying to help you are not always trying to help you. And the folks who look like they might be trying to harm you are not necessarily always trying to harm you. That's all I'll say about that. I really, really like the world building in this book as well. Again, a lot of these places were real. In the book, they talk about the Ku Klux Klan marching in front of the White House. That actually happened. And that's another reason why Claire doesn't trust people, because she's, doesn't trust the government to protect her, because she's been let down one too many times. And if the Ku Klux Klan is marching in front of the White House, let's see. So we've talked about the history. The horror is the enigmas, because it's spiritual or otherworldly. It doesn't get too graphic in the horror, so I think this book is still appropriate for YA. So if you can read YA, you can definitely read this book. There's a bit of a romance between Jesse Lee and Clara. Of course, the mystery is, why are these people going missing, and what do they do to stop it? And then, of course, the magic, or the hoodoo, the roots, and all the conjure as well. Let's see. Aristotle has a love interest as well. His name is Henry, but he's based off of a real man named Harold Jackman. Harold Jackman was the lover of a Harlem Renaissance poet called County Cullen. County Cullen ended up marrying one of W.E.B. Du Bois's daughter, Yolanda, and that rascal took Harold Jackman on their honeymoon. Can you imagine? He took his boyfriend on their honeymoon. And needless to say, that marriage did not last long. If you really enjoy historical fiction, mystery, romance, magic, this is a really, really amazing book. I am leaving out a lot of details because I want y'all to read the book, but also I'm trying not to give too much away. There is, again, just a lot of world building for the time period in Washington, D.C., showing you the nightclubs that people go to, how people in the community interact, how people support one another. What else? It's a wonderful book. Let me think. Well, you know what? I really, again, I think one of my favorite things is this. I will say this. Hang on, I have a note. So in the book, they talk about living your best life is a way of fighting back. And I was watching American Born Chinese on Disney Plus. It's based off of a graphic novel by Gene Yang. We have a lot of his books at the library. And there's a scene in it with Ke Huy Quan. Y'all know him from the Goonies and from Indiana Jones movies. And he was talking about how a hero is not always somebody who has magical powers and a cape and who can fly, even though Clara has magical powers. He says a hero is somebody who fights for what's right and stands up for what's right. And in my book, that's Clara, whether she has the ability to talk to ghosts or not. That's all of them, including Zelda, because they fought for what's right. They fought for their community. They fought to help people who nobody else was going to help. And they fought to keep the people they love alive, their community thriving. And it is just a really amazing book. If you enjoy history, um, mystery, a little bit of magic, this is an amazing book. And I hope you check it out. Again, you can check out the physical copy. It is also available as a audiobook on Libby. And if you're wanting to know more about the Red Summer, check out the where is it? Check out the Great Courses on Canopy. It's episode 24 of the Gilded Age. That's the name of the Great Course. It's called the Gilded Age. And the episode that focuses on the Red Summer and what caused it and what was going on during the time is called Upheaval and the End of an Era. Okay, so I'm wrapping it up because I have to hurry up. Somebody else needs to get in this room, so I need to cut this short. The book that we're reading for June is going to be, or excuse me, for July is going to be Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism. That's going to be on July the 20th at 4 p.m. This is also available as an audiobook on Hoopla, or you can check out the book from any of your public libraries. All right. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time. Let me know what you thought about the book if you've had a chance to read it. Thank you, replay viewers, for watching this. And I will see y'all next month. Bye.